see how this goes. We will see how it goes. I almost feel like I should have wore a jacket. Did you guys see that? Did you hear it? Just this morning, my son was saying, I love the rain. I was like, I love it too, buddy. Oh, we only have 2 more sections after this one. I should have wore a jacket. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know? I could easily go back in and get one. But I don't, you guys know I don't like moving from the camera because I am self-conscious. That's just how simple it is. Let me see here. I started this a little bit early, so I'm going to talk a little bit more before I pray. We have 2 more sections. And can I get this done? Ay, ay, ay. How many pages is that? It's a little less than 30 pages. I can do it. I can do it. Okay, for this next, to finish this section. And then, get an itch. The next 2 sections, I don't know. Yo no sé. She has an epilogue as well. So I might actually use that. I thought it'd be nice to hear the rain. Hopefully it doesn't come too far in. Okay, I'll figure it out. Point being is we're going to finish it. Hopefully it doesn't come in here too much with the rain into my front porch. All right. We were outside. It's raining. I wanted to be out here because I love the rain. And I thought it'd be nice to hear the rain while I'm reading. So here we are. Pardon me. I should have wore a jacket because it's, when the wind blows, it's slightly chilly. But you know, here we are. Once I start reading, I'll be fine. What else is there? That's it. All right, let me pray. God, thank you so much for your love. Thank you for these moments. Please open our ears to hear anything that it is that you would like for us to know, the insight you would like for us to gain. If there's anything that we're not supposed to take in or be affected by, please just let our ears not hear it and our spirits not hear it. Amen. Okay. So, and also you're closer than normal because again, it's raining and I had to move everything closer this way. So, okay, autumn. With this surprise visit upon them, I thought it worth taking a moment to reconnect the small bits of time they'd actually spent together since the spring of 1948. Those 3 final weeks of my mother's senior year, when they first realized just how mutual were their feelings for each other, were the lengthiest amount of time they had spent together, though it was punctuated by final exams and graduation exercises. She then saw him for a couple of days in September of the year, you might remember, stopping through Wheaton on her way to PBI in Canada. They enjoyed the week at his home in Portland near the end of the following summer in 1949, and they were able to steal 1 or 2 private chats when family and friendship obligations brought them together at my Uncle Dave's wedding in July 1950. It all added up to barely a month, 4 weeks and a few days, covering a total range of almost 3.5 years. From these scarce but sacred moments of face-to-face exposure came all the intensity of this story and their relationship. Certainly, they wished it had been more, or seeing how they'd resigned themselves to being only close friends, they might have wished it had been less. that it had all gone unspoken, rather than occupy so much of their attention and energy through the years. But if that had been the case, this autumn of 1951 would never have happened. And as the following letters and journals attest, neither of them, and none of us, would want to have missed it. I said earlier I wasn't sure if my father carried many romantic hopes for his journey east, but I'm going to say now, I think he did. Otherwise, I have little explanation for the suddenness of his first recorded words after seeing her again. September 20th. Arrived in Morristown, New Jersey. Came to settled rest about Betty. I love her. The problem from now on is not whom should I marry, but should I marry? This didn't mean, of course, that his renewed sense of love and attraction made life any less complicated. Nearer to her now than ever, yet more confident still that God is leading me away from her, to Ecuador with Pete, and she to the South Seas. Pete, by the way, was Pete Fleming, an old friend traveling with him on this tour of speaking engagements and relationship building, who would later be among the 5 missionaries killed. I'm probably less sure of my mother's hopes for this visit, borne out by my dad saying that what passed between them as they talked in the fields behind birdsong on Saturday was terribly upsetting to her. Probably overwhelming would have been a better word. It was only upsetting as to how it affected their lives going forward. In any event, she, as was he, was struck with the significance of what it all meant and what she was feeling. I'll let her words take it from here. September 21st. We took a walk and talked of many things, our relationship included. The Lord has tested us sorely, and I do pray and trust that, when he hath tried us, we shall come forth as gold. Pardon me. I suppose there is no greater issue in the life of a young person than that of love, but Jim and I have long since settled it that we are wholly at his disposal, at any cost, now and forever. Jim says he loves me. There is no question in my heart anymore. I love him. I love him as I never thought I could love anyone. The thought of going on without him almost chills me. Even so, Jim is sure that God wants him on the field as a single man. May the God of all grace grant to him the great grace that will be needed, the strength to withstand the temptations which abound in such a stronghold of Satan. I bring a prayer that God will bless and keep you, through every moment with its joy or tears. I pray his arms may tenderly enfold you, to guide you, dearest, through the changing years. Such an experience serves to wean our hearts from earth. We are pilgrims and strangers, and life is but a short journey home. What will it be to be with him, who is our well-beloved, the fairest of 10,000? If it were not for the hope of his coming, the daybreak, when all the shadows will flee away, one could not go on. But I love him, trust him, and praise him, and ask only that I may know that I do his blessed will. Nothing else matters. After the things that have been shown me in the past 2 days, I make bold to pray, Father, if it be possible, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And I ask, too, that my will be the one with his. I want to walk humbly and quietly with my master, sensitive only to his wishes, not fluttering and eager with my own. The child that wholly trusts the loving kindness of his father watches expectantly for his next move, willing to wait until it is made clear, not jumping and skipping fitfully along in front of him, afraid he will miss something if the child does not keep his eyes open. My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. I would like to say that it was not supposed to rain this long. Mind you, it wasn't supposed to rain at all. At all. The day that I talked about it was supposed to rain, it was like going to be on Monday and Tuesday. And then after that, it was Friday. I was like, I better water my plants because it's not supposed to rain. Guess what? It's been raining every single day since then. Okay, sorry. All this happened, as she said, in only 2 days, but thankfully, their time together didn't so quickly conclude. He cycled back to her house whenever free of his other responsibilities. These opportunities for ongoing conversation led them to some monumental decisions, made not rashly, of course, even though made in quick succession. As we know, these decisions were the result of long testing as to the purity of their motives and the proven devotion of their surrender. And with each one, as often accompanies the favor of God's guidance, came an almost tangible sense of his peace. September 29th. My heart is at peace more than I have known concerning Jim. I love him with all my heart, and it seems that God has once more guided us each aright. Last night we spoke of the possibility of engagement before his going to the field, but it is not yet the Lord's time. Each of us feels in our heart of hearts that God will eventually lead us together. An amazing thing in itself that we should feel this way and be free to speak of it to one another. But as yet it seems best for Jim to go entirely unattached so that he can apply himself wholly to the task of orientation on the field. This is cute. Look at the picture of them. It says, in her scrapbook, my mother wrote, just friends, New Jersey visit, fall 1951. Look how cute they were. The possibility of engagement, the belief that God will eventually lead us together, these were important developments. Furthermore, she added, God's will for me seems to be directed towards some Latin field. He alone knows how desperately I want to do only his will, so I know he will not suffer me to make a mistake in this. This was huge, obviously, since her latest leaning had been toward the South Pacific, though she was yet unclear about it. But not even these mutual places of agreement comprised the sum total of what God was doing to astound her. There was also this. Jim's parents came today for the weekend, another interesting circumstance that they should be here just now. They dropped off their youngest child, Jane, at Wheaton and then worked at an extended eastward swing into the trip. Their attitude toward me seems to be one of friendliness, contrary to that which I sensed while visiting in their home. What a change this represented which, based on the critical letter from 2 years ago, no one could have seen coming. Only God could orchestrate all these events, she thought, and watching him at work brought to her an almost indescribable relief about everything. At long last, I feel an easiness, a rest about our situation, which is new to me. Last night, in our time alone together, there was a new sense of liberty and release from vague doubtings and fears. I can look back over the years of our relationship and see such very marked development. In mind and spirit now, we are one. Yes, finally, we are one. My dear mother could now understand and believe that that although my father still needed to go on singly to Ecuador, God in his kindness had brought them together again at this time, with the added hope that he might bring them to marriage eventually. She was at rest, a depth of rest that belied all worry and fear, and could wait with patience and until the exact time when perhaps they could be more one with each other. As she wrote to my dad in a quick note on September 30th, mailed to catch up with him in New York, where he'd been spending the week, she said, know this, that I am at rest, as I know you are, in the revealed will of God in this regard. He has given light in the darkness. Wilt thou love me, trust me, praise me, yea, Lord, forever. Okay, this is the note. Sorry, I don't know, right? Why does rain make me giggle? I have a little kid. Okay, he quickly answered back affirmatively. October 2nd. The will of God is sweet tonight, altogether good and acceptable and perfect. The considerate love of the Lord Jesus for us seems such a kind thing now. I know it has always been so, but somehow I didn't see how wise it was when it didn't seem kind. Remind me of this when I cannot regard his love as considerate sometime. He then shared a story on which my mother included in her biography of my father's life, but remains so poignant that I can't help but reprint it. Stayed overnight with a brother in Queens who raises chrysanthemums for a hobby. He was telling me they don't bloom until every other flower is gone or going with the frost. I suspected that the frost might be what brought them to bloom, but he said no, it's the longer nights. He described a process of shrouding them before sunset and leaving them covered till after dawn to hasten their bloom. I really never realized the point of Rutherford, but flowers need the darkness, not just for rest evidently, but for blossoming. Need I allegorize? No, his insight was perfect. Both of them saw the hand of the Lord in bringing them together, even as he had kept them apart during their longer nights. In time, they would observe many more signs of their shepherd's leading and loving kindness. They knew that the same Creator who makes chrysanthemums bloom in the dark would guide them, as he does for all his children, through sunless days. Like right now, my mother must have been thinking, if God was truly fitting her for a Latin American destination, I am perplexed, she said, as to what my next step should be. October 2nd. Should I write Dorothy Jones, a girl who intends to go to Ecuador and needs a single woman to go with her? Should I go to New York and visit the Voices from the Vineyard office? Should I take steps toward getting to some Spanish-speaking country immediately in order to begin working on Spanish? My father was free with advice. There are several things to keep in mind regarding preparation for Ecuador. 1. Spanish, by whatever means. 2. Teacher certificate, very valuable if attainable. 3. Medical training. Yes, much to contemplate and prioritize, but only one place to start, in prayer. She closed her journal entry of October 2nd with the words, Lord, these questions are all known to thee. Do thou give thine answer. I would not take a single step apart from thee, and Lord, keep me ever in utter dependence on thee. Then, as she occasionally did in her journal, she punctuated this next fragment of hymn lyric in print, rather than cursive, as well as in bold, repeated pen strokes. Hold over my being absolute sway, which truly reflected her heart, and my dad's, who encouraged her by saying, the Lord will not let you make any mistakes. But oh, how beautifully he didn't let them have this time to themselves. Shep savored moments throughout what amounted to 5 light-filled weeks. Their next encounter included a bit of unexpected drama. My mother rode with her brother, Phil, and his wife, Margaret, to Hackensack, New Jersey, to hear my dad speak. But October 12th. Rain and heavy traffic delayed us, so that we were unable to reach there until the meeting was all over. We had a message delivered to Jim at the hall by the police to tell him we were coming and he should wait. It was so good to be with him again. On Monday, we had the whole day together, the first time since he's been east. We went to Oswego Lake, then down to the shore, then to Keswick, where we ate a picnic supper as the sun set by the lake. 2 weeks later, rather than unexpected drama, it was unmitigated delight. October 25th. We have had 4 perfect days together. He and Pete Fleming, the fellow with whom he is going to Ecuador, Phil, Margaret, and I left New York City on Sunday night after Jim and Pete's meetings and traveled all night, arriving at their vacation home in Franconia around 9 a.m. It was surely cold, and the cottage was all boarded up and very bleak. Seeing how far back the rain's reaching. But to be here with Jim, it was beyond imagination. Monday afternoon, we all climbed Bald Mountain and then hiked down over Artist Bluff. Tuesday, we hiked to the Flume and then up to the Lonesome Lake. Wednesday, a gray day, we took the Amanusuk Trail up to Lake of the Clouds on Mount Washington. The enjoyment of nature, all the loveliness our Father has made with his hands, is doubly rich sharing with Jim. Our minds run quiet in similar patterns, complementing each other, dovetailing and meeting. Last night, he took me to Littleton, where we ate dinner at Thayer's Hotel. Then drove up to the Knopf, the way New Englanders pronounce it, where we sat in the car by Echo Lake in a howling rain and windstorm. Just to be with him is peace, peace. The thing that comes to me time after time is that each heavenly truth has its earthly counterpart, and human love reflects so much of divine love, of course, since it is of God. He that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God. It is truly wonderful, and our dear Heavenly Father has planned so perfectly, so lovingly for us. There are 3 things, said the writer of Proverbs 30, which are too wonderful for me, 4 which I do not understand. The way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a serpent on a rock, the way of a ship in the middle of the sea, and the way of a man with a maid. Proverbs 30, 18 through 19, NASB. Genuine, pure love between a man and a woman, especially when each person seeks the other's best, is truly an amazing gift from God. Only He could have thought of it, and He has given us this love, my mother said personally of she and my dad, a love which bore such similarity to God's own love for them. Our love is His love, manifested in us toward each other. Our passions and natural affections are awakened, vivified, channeled by the love of God. God is love, and for 5 autumn weeks in the Northeast, having had the privilege of spending at least some of that time together, their love filled them with a new wonder, awareness, and assurance. The next day, it filled them with something else, with longing. October 22nd. Alone. The word never held so much meaning. Jim has gone, and with him my very soul and heart. As I look over these 5 weeks since Jim came east, I stand awed and amazed. What hath God wrought? True, we have loved for 3 years, nearly 4. But never has there been any prospect of marriage, and consequently our relationship has been cautious and limited in expression. Now it seems that God intends for us to marry. But we cannot enter into a formal engagement because of the uncertainty regarding the demands of jungle life. We know not how long the work though we know not how long the work may require of single men. Pete and Jim are ready for whatever the Lord indicates. Pardon me, I paused. I had a very intense deja vu. It's taken me a while to snap out of it. Not just me reading in front of this, everything. When the wind blew through my hair at that moment, me looking at those exact words, the hydrangeas in my peripheral, the sound of the rain. It's a flash. So I prayed, God's will be done. But oh, my flesh and my heart faileth. I feel absolutely empty, hollow, aching with loneliness. I want Jim. I love him strongly, deeply, powerfully. He is my life. This says, devotedly mother. Note to Mama from her mother, my grandmother Howard, Catherine Gillingham Howard. She was sad for them at my father's leaving. Aww. My father, clattering away from her on a bumpy rolled car, enough that he apologized for the shaking handwriting, was equally as undone. October 29th. All the while I have been unable to think for 5 minutes without being interrupted by thoughts of you. Your face did die with consciousness as I went off to sleep, then rose as I woke. Images, attitudes, phrases, looks, embraces held me from out of the past few weeks, and I nearly succumbed to think that is not to be again for years, perhaps. All day Saturday there was that pressure at my chest that made me look away to the sky and exhale in a sigh, signifying I don't know what. I am nearer tears this morning than I have been all weekend. Remembrance of you said about missing me on waking came as dawn broke this morning, and I thought of you with your slender, white, and empty arms there in a warm bed. This may be a phase, the sort of thing Pete wished me a speedy recovery from. I hope in a way that it is, but as yet it intensifies and shows no signs of let up. There was no need to analyze. I love you, Betty, and I feel it keenly this morning. But what sounded like a wrap-up of his thoughts led only to more memories, recalling their last sighting of each other. I will not forget your clear, wide eyes, I will not forget your clear, wide eyes vanishing at the station on Saturday. The unfeeling lackey who tugged me back on the platform and shouted, "Watch out for the stairs," and slammed the cover, cut me out of a pleasure that of seeing your eyes grow smaller and smaller until they disappeared. I had no tears. After a few minutes of strained silence, we began a slow conversation, and Pete soon had me talked out of tears. Yes, she wrote in response, recalling the precise moment. October 31st. I am sorry, too, to see you jerked out of sight so abruptly on Saturday. I stood there until a last car had rounded the curve, then came to find myself completely alone on the platform, with gates closed and every human soul vanished. But I, too, was amazingly kept from tears just then. I am glad. It was not until I came to my room alone after lunch that I could let go. Jim, I still stand amazed at the wonder of it all. The Lord's perfect planning for us, bringing you here just at this particular juncture when I had no idea where to turn, or, I should say, when any further delay would have precipitated my going on out to the South Seas. He knew all the thoughts, intents, and needs of our hearts and met every one. The exceeding abundantly, no, the train isn't rocking, it's only my heart, was the trip of Franconia. O God of stars and flowers, forgive our blindness. No dream of night had dared what thou hast wrought. Let us not cease to wonder at the wondrous things our God does. Let us forever hold the glad surprise of children. And for tomorrow, for those years of which you speak, of which I cannot think with equanimity. It is just one day of separation at a time. The Lord has been with me this day and with you. He has sustained and guided the same as he has ever done. And should he never see fit to bring us together, we are his. We are still loved by him. He will bear. Grace for tomorrow is never given today. Remember the manna? Neither is grace for imaginations ever given. She closed with a line from Whittier's The Eternal Goodness. And so, beside the silent sea, I wait the muffled oar. No harm from him can come to me on an ocean or on shore. I know not where his islands lift their fronted. Let me start over. And so beside the silent sea, I wait the muffled oar. No harm from him can come to me on ocean or on shore. I know not where his islands lift their fronded palms in air. I only know I cannot drift beyond his love and care. Oh, it was wonderful, Jim, just being with you. I thank my God upon every remembrance. Gratefully, Betty. I still marvel at how little physical touch they'd actually experienced. All they'd allowed themselves were a few embraces, hand-holding, possibly a kiss on the cheek. But how important to learn from my amazing parents that their absolute priority remained the love of God, dependence on God, and continual prayer for his leading. A person may ask, is God enough for me to satisfy all my longings, even if I've not been given the romance I've dreamed of? Will he help me through those long nights of loneliness? Will he stay my desires when he hasn't clearly shown his blessing on the relationship? My parents' experience would say definitely, he is worth waiting on. Their 4+ years of waiting produced such a weight of godliness in them. It built into their character those things necessary for being content with God alone, a determination to love him first, as well as using that time of waiting to know him in deep intimacy. And they would need it all, because in many ways, the true test of their faith had only begun. November 3rd. Although I cannot mail this until Monday, I feel that I want to talk with you, Jim. And so there is no better time to write. And it's just 1 week today. Forgive me. I'm sounding sickly sentimental. Since we said goodbye, how well I know that pressure of which you speak, which causes one to look off to the far horizon and sigh. How many such sighs have been drawn from me this past week, and a long week it has been, believe me. For you, I imagine time is flying with all your traveling, meetings, contacts, etc. I have discovered a subtle thing in myself this week. I find that I welcome any activity, any social engagement, any place to go, not for the thing itself, but merely from an impatient, undisciplined desire to kill time. This bespeaks a soul not wholly at rest in the Lord. Oh, time, I think to myself, be gone. Let's just skip over the next few years, any old way, slipshod, carelessly, but quickly, yet gently, quietly. The Lord Shepard leads me beside still waters, makes me to lie down. And the lovely old words of Psalm 33 come to me. Our soul, not the plural Our soul, not the plural adjective singular noun, waiteth for the Lord. He is our hope and shield. For our heart, again, shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us according as we hope in thee. And he is answering. He is teaching me to rest in his everlasting arms, unconscious of all besides himself and his happy will. And Jim, this too had its counterpart. When I remember those evenings by the fire in Franconia, or above New York lights and bustle, or just here at home, I am almost faint with tenderness. Almost faint. Perhaps he was feeling the same way. Actually, what was making him feel faint, that her letters were not reaching him along the road. My mother suspected it and grieved her carelessness. Yesterday I took my train case back to have it initialed. The sales slip I turned in with it was evidently the scrap of paper on which I'd written your Oklahoma City address. I'm sorry, Jim. I didn't want this to reach you this weekend. But it didn't. None of them did. Ooh. November 5th. I was disappointed at finding no letter from you in Oklahoma City. When nothing was waiting at Sparta, I felt sure there would be word from you Saturday at Jones. Oh my gosh, how crazy. There's no way to let him know. Because that's snail mail, okay? There's no way. Oh my gosh, that'd be so... No, sorry. I was disappointed at finding no letter from you in Oklahoma City, when nothing was waiting at Sparta. I felt sure there'd be word from you Saturday at Jones. We hustled through some real scenery and fall tones to get to Oklahoma City, and then no word. Pete had one waiting from Olive. It was hard to choke back disappointment and to smile. Funny how little accusations against you would be met in my mind immediately by apologies and explanations. It was worse to have to leave there this morning before mail time. Even went to the PO to try and intercept something, but the carrier had already gone out. It means another whole week with no word, Betty, and I make no bones about it. It isn't easy. Tomorrow, Pete and I will be heading to Carlsbad Caverns. The folks trailing a little later in the day. El Paso tomorrow night, then Phoenix, then LA, and I trust you. No, excuse me. Then Phoenix, then LA, and I trust word from you. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of silence after those close, oh so close days in Franconia. Another trial to my patience occurred yesterday as I was rewinding my camera. I thought I had the film all ready to take out, so I opened the back, only to find the winder stuck and a half dozen pictures desensitized, and nearly all of them of you. I don't know which ones yet, of course, but it sure made me bite my lip. Pete just remarked that he felt powerless these days. So do I. It's mostly the pace, not time for concentrated prayer and waiting on God. But, pray that we might not waste these contacts on this account. It's hard to be alert to the mind of God when you're dull and sleepy. And that's what we've been since Washington, D.C. That's what the matter now. What's the matter now? I wish I were better able to compose a letter to the woman I think so highly of. Anywho, all this for tonight, Jim. Poor man. No letters, no pictures, no time for rest or unhurried prayer. Among his few consolations was an offhand encounter with a young woman in OKC, Oklahoma City, a red-haired pianist who remembered you from college, I assume, or from her summer in Oklahoma. Without any prompting, she volunteered, "Oh, she's tall and graceful. I always admired her, the way she handled herself. She thinks you must be pretty smart to have hooked me. Everybody seems to have the impression I was sort of impregnable. I find it a stunning way to open conversation among the old friends. Just to start off, I found the girl I'm going to marry. Causes quite a stir, if I do say so myself." Yes, she was sure it did. But despite the warmth she felt in knowing how he felt about her, and despite the thrill of hearing such joy in his voice when he thought of her, she could probably have gone a while without hearing of it. Word of his sharing so freely with others about the relationship came during the same week she'd been praying the following words: "If in thine own perfect time thou seest best to bring Jim and me together, to work for thee as man and wife, prepare us for such event. But ever let us fix our minds and hearts upon thyself." Hear the total surrender, the lack of any presumption. So while she answered his letter with much less verve than, say, her response to his renaissance, she gently let him know he was pushing the boundaries again. November 13th. Another thing I feel I must speak of. You go about telling your friends, "I've found the girl I'm going to marry." This, you know as well as I do, is not strictly true in the sense that others will understand it. I would not dream of saying that to my friends. So, until it is mutual, until such time as the Lord may make it clear that we are to marry, please, Jim, for my sake, if for no other reason, don't spread this around. To me, nothing is more obnoxious than rumors, and undoubtedly rumors are flying. They're engaged. Oh no, it's some old odd arrangement, not exactly engaged. Yes, but they might as well be, etc., etc. Then, if we ever are actually engaged, all the joy is taken out of announcing it. For everyone's reaction is, "About time. I thought they were engaged long ago." Do you understand, Jim? I hope you will. Call it silly if you will, but to me, these things are high and holy, not to be lightly spoken of. And as yet, so far as our relationship is concerned, it is not ours to banter about, but his entirely, in his hands, until he may see fit to give us to each other. Then and only then may we feel free to speak of it to anyone, without fear of equivocation. I can't think of how to say that word. Hopefully it's right. My father was a little too free and impulsive with his tongue, and he repented quite often to it. My father was a little too free and impulsive with his tongue, and he repented quite often of it in his journals. My mother, by contrast, was very strict with herself and chose her words carefully, thinking through the possible ways they could be misconstrued. She did not want the relationship talked about because they were not yet completely given to each other. She felt that the claim they might want to have on one another was still in the mysterious future of God's plan. Talking about it, in her view, confirmed it in other people's minds and cheapened what they'd committed to prayer. I admire both of their personalities. I admire my father's fearlessness, how he wasn't afraid of the spin other people might put on his words. But I also admire her plea that he not speak of her as being the girl I'm going to marry. Her falling in love with the man whom God had appointed for her was something she considered a high and holy matter, something to be kept sacred by keeping it to themselves. I do understand my father's eagerness to talk. I'm afraid I inherited more of his spontaneity and quickness to tell, the easy gab, rather than the commitment to keep things secret and hidden until such time as the Lord is ready to reveal his answers. But how few women today have such control over their tongues or emotions as my mother did, pondering holy things in their hearts without blabbing about them, without telling 300 of their closest friends. We overshare today, more than people need to know, not discerning those things we should rightly regard as precious and holy before God. To my father's credit, he received her gentle rebuke with mostly humble contrition and consideration. November 19th. Really, Bets, I'm sorry if I've begun rumors by careless talk. I don't really feel that I've been flippant or undue in speaking of our relationship. Still, I've been known to be unwise. I want you to get the full benefit of announcing an engagement. And those I've spoken to, I have cautioned for your sake. Dave will tell you that I asked him to keep it quiet on this very account, and I've tried to be consistent with the same note to all. What's been done, you'll have to charge up to blunder and commit to God. This was simply a man in love, caught up in love's excitement, surprising even himself with a new constancy in his love, something he'd once thought himself incapable of feeling, much less giving. As he said in a letter he wrote to her a week or so earlier, November 10th. It's a good thing, this loving you, a good, strong, bracing thing, the very thing our God would be apt to do for me prior to my going out. Anywhere, I desire you. Always, I want you with me. Is it walking in the morning, long before dawn? Then I hear you breathe somewhere close to my face, coming fast and noisy, then quickly indrawn and let out slowly. Is it watching scenery, the trees of Texas, which have no trunks but grow like branches right from the ground, the frightening depths and fantasy of Carlsbad, the savagely twisted skeletons of dead trees on Grand Canyon rim? I want to point them all out to you and describe them. Every place is evaluated by its suitability to a honeymoon situation. Woke early again this morning and shared my devotional with dreams of you. It bothers me somewhat that you are on my mind when I ought to be praying, and it's a discipline not to indulge overmuch in remembering. Not that I feel a conflict. I am assured that loving you is part of my life now, important as eating, and God knows I need it. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on, let me see how much is here. The pages are getting damp, and they're getting hard to turn. Are we almost? Where are we at? I can do this. We can do this. Let's go. What was I at? Oh yeah, I was turning the page. Thank you. Thank you, Wen. Okay, being in love, he said to her in another letter, was like rediscovering the whole world around him. November 17th. Loving has let me in a whole new area of poetry. Since high school days, I have regarded love lyrics with some disdain, and that's why I say rediscovery. I learned them academically, not emphatically. Strange how universal love, I can pick something from nearly every piece and say that belongs to us. Especially did I thrill to First Time He Kissed Me, a sonnet by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It linked itself immediately with our ride to Franconia that Sunday night. Will I forget how feigning sleeplessness, I crowded you against the clothing hung against the door, how your body stiffened as my, oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Will I forget how, feigning sleepiness, I crowded you against the clothing hung against the door, how your body stiffened as my hand made its way to being received by your fingers, how the whole of you slackened, and how my fingers were pressed to your lips? Will I forget? Not soon. Excuse this indulgence. I thank my God, life has been made so much more the fuller for his giving me you. I was recounting today as we rolled the last 300 miles up from Klamath Falls, how rich, how full. I can't find a better word. He has made life for me. Sea-like, but having no ebb, no, not at my fingertips. Nature, body, soul, friendship, family, all for me. And then, what many have not the capacity to enjoy. And he said, lacked ye nothing? They said, nothing. Part of me was lacking until this now. Oh, I needed you. Neither of us knew how sorely. And even now, though I don't have you in the fullest sense, still I do. In a sense I will not when we have known each other. I'm glad that last is still ahead. Glad I'm not jaded by nights in bed with you. I'm glad I still can't quite keep my hands off you. Still must be warned, not to mess you up. I have you now unravished, and that is just how I need you now. The schoolboy in me still wonders and is awkward. Experience has not taken the edge off. We will, I suppose, get used to each other, the feel and smell and look of one another, but I am glad it is not so now. As far as never felt before, I feel now that I must keep. Okay. Okay. Where was I at? You guys, I just might come back out. It's 41 minutes. That's long enough. I'm gonna finish this. It's getting like the book's getting wet. I'll come back out and sit in that corner with you in a little bit. Once I take everything in so that doesn't get wet by the rain. Where did that happen? Where the wind does not touch the phone, but then did. I'll read his letter and finish it tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I love you. I'll be back. Give me about 5 minutes. All right. Bye-bye.